So that's why my topic is on Brahmanism versus popular masses. This is what I have taken. And this kind of efforts, let me say one anecdote, in the sense that during late 70s or early 60s, there were an efforts. Yesterday we listened to them. I think Sarath Patil, when the Dalit Panther movement was about to come down, he started Phule Ambedkar and Marxist institution, where he tries to synthesize caste and class, Indian materialism and dialectical materialism. I think in the same, the process, really appreciate Dr. Gopinath sir for taking this initiative after a long time, because the institutions, formal institutions are not able to do this kind of exercise. I strongly believe that, because why I believe is that they are not doing that kind of thing. Of course, they have some very conventional ways of conducting seminars, but not this kind of materialistic interpretation of history. This is what I wanted to appreciate Dr. Gopinath sir. So let me say, mine is on Brahmanism versus masses. I would like to divide my presentation into three parts, not in a strict sense, but Brahmanism versus masses. I would like to say who are the masses, what is their role in transforming the society. I think that's what social movements, their role in transforming the society within the historical material context. That's what I wanted to say. And the second one is, of course, from yesterday onwards we are listening many things. Mine would be, there could be some overlap, what earlier speakers spoke and what I am going to say, including Dr. Gopinath, what he said. That's one. The second thing that I would like to say is that I would like to take Ambedkar method, whether that is historical method or historical dialectical method or not. That's one question. By doing this exercise, people may commonly they come to conclusion that so why do we want to put Marxian words into Ambedkar mouth? Ambedkar is Ambedkar, so Marx is a Marx. I am not going to take that fundamentalist view, because that's a fundamental. Oh, Marx is a Marx, Ambedkar is a Marx. There is no conversation between that. I think that is not the case in historical process of knowledge production. Knowledge is universal. It has to be universal. The knowledge production that comes from social masses or popular masses is like that only. So it cannot be, we are putting words from Marx to Ambedkar, Ambedkar to Marx. That is not correct. So that's why I take Ambedkar method, what it is, that's the one. And then while taking Ambedkar method, what it is, then the third one is, there I would like to take the Western materialism. I think what Dr. Gopinath sir said just now, and yesterday also people were saying, Western historical materialism, and juxtaposing and comparing with Indian historical materialism. These are the three things that I would like to do. First, let me say the recognition that popular masses and their decisive role in a history or historical materialism. When you take the decisive role of the popular masses, it itself is a materialistic view of history, because the popular masses, they define the historical materialism. So that I'll come. That is why the masses and historical materialism. So I cannot escape talking historical materialism while talking the popular masses. Because popular masses today, if I jump directly today, the popular masses from Lokayatas to, and what we have learned from Lokayatas to Charvakas, Lokayatas to Chakravarti Vemula, and in between Ambedkar and many. I think what Rohit said also, I would like to say what he said, my birth is a fatal accident. How it is, what is the present generation, how they think it that my birth itself is a fatal accident. I think we saw the Rohit and we saw the Pranay also. Earlier we saw the Mantani Madhukar also. How that is a fatal accident. It is an accident, and how system deals with these cases. That's very important. What I am trying to say is popular masses, by virtue of their objective status. This objective status is a very important in a society because they carry out a historical struggle. Why they carry historical struggle? It doesn't mean that all the objective conditions that determine the subjective preparation in all the contexts. Objective conditions may be more in Africa, but there is no subjective preparedness for revolution. So here, the objective condition and the objective status of the masses, I think very important, and their carrying of historical struggle from epoch to epoch, I think that is what dialectical materialism that I think Dr. Gopinath sir said, and that I would like to apply what it is. So the masses, popular masses are first and foremost, they are working classes. So working classes, they are associated with the basic sphere of life. The life that is how someone morning says ontological experience, that life, the philosophical or phenomenological or ontological experience, that is very important. But experience is also having a reason. But experiences cannot be universalized. Reason also has a problem. That also I explain how it is. So the masses that are associated with the life in society, not in heaven or something other world. Life in society. So they are basically related with the material. That's very important. So the material, when we say they are associated with the material production is a very important. So then I think now by taking the Brahmanism and masses, and why Brahmanism and how Ambedkar defined Brahmanism, Brahmani defined and Brahmanism is defined. And then what is his method? Let me say then his method, and then I take the Western material thought and Indian material thought, whether Indian material thought, historical materialism, or it has any dialectical materialism at all. That's very important, because the common understanding, commonsensical understanding is that India has no history and it has no dialectical materialism. That is why I think mode of production debate has took different turn in India. That is what Marx said. You have a feudal mode of production, you have a capitalist mode of production, socialist mode of production, while dividing the human history. And he says that when it comes to the Asiatic society, and he doesn't know where to locate this mode of production. He doesn't know where to locate its mode of production. So he called it as Asiatic mode of production. What is Asiatic mode of production? I think that's thereof, I think EPW and social history and economic review and social history, I think filled with many, till now even including subaltern historiography also talks about that. That we'll talk about a little, but I may not go into the detail, because I'm thanks that Gopinath sir and even Martin has given me almost 45 minutes to speak. So what this is what at the outset Ambedkar says in his third volume. It's very important. Ambedkar says in his third volume, Indian history is under debris. This is his own words. Indian history is under deep debris. A lot of heap dung has been cropped upon it. So we need to exhume that and then find the real history. That's what Ambedkar says. So when Western Marxists say India has no history, Ambedkar says there is a history, but that history has been heaped upon so many things. So the layer by layer, one has to remove. I think by the time Indian history Ambedkar was studying, I doubt that Indus excavations are not available like Romila Thapar. That's the one point that I wanted to say. When Ambedkar was understanding who are the Sudras, who are untouchables, I think all these excavations were available by 60s and 70s when Romila Thapar published her work on Indian history, and in a much I think even R.S. Sharma and others, when they published, they had. But Ambedkar, by the time it was dug up and then compiling, but he was not concentrating on that. Maybe later he would like to concentrate. By the time he had a certain historical understanding. He has a historical method. That's what I wanted to say. Ambedkar used historical method in his 5th volume while understanding untouchables. He says that 2 things he uses. Those 2 things he derived from Maxim Gorky. He quotes Maxim Gorky. Ambedkar quotes Maxim Gorky in his method. What is that? Historians should have an imagination. That's very important. And historical research needs an imagination. Of course, some people say the imagination, not the imagination for sake. Of course, Charles Taylor says that social imaginaries, he talks about, of course, Charles Taylor. But here, the imagination is a very important. What he says is, Ambedkar says, he follows the quotation of Maxim Gorky. Maxim Gorky says that scientific attitude consists of observation, comparison, and study with imagination, intuition. These are the 4 things that Ambedkar took from Maxim Gorky, and ability to make things up in one's own mind. Say, for example, yesterday we talked about why imagination is needed. That's very important. Ambedkar said, why historian needs an imagination. There is a break. Say, for example, Indus civilization to Industrial Revolution, then Enlightenment, Reformation, Industrial Revolution, and then French Revolution, American Revolution. That is what. But in India, there is a break. But in Western society, there is a continuity, and then thesis, antithesis, and the synthesis was produced. But in India, that thesis, antithesis, what Dr. Gopinath has said is a dialectical materialism. The thesis, antithesis, identifying thesis, antithesis, synthesis itself is a problem for Indian Marxists. It has become a problem for Indian Marxists. But Ambedkar found that. Because then people would say, no, Ambedkar is a bourgeois thinker, Ambedkar is a liberal democrat, Ambedkar is this and that, very loose talks. Maybe, perhaps. Maybe that's what, I can't say more than that. But Ambedkar's historical scientific method is very, very important for here. He was imaginating popular masses. Who are they? Then how it has become today, the popular masses of Lokayata Charvakas. Lokayatas will say even Devi Prasad set up over there, even Sachidananda Murthy, and then in any you take, I read Dr. Robert King, Indian Philosophy, and 2-3 books I read on even Devi Prasad set up over there. The much more is Rahul Sanskrityayan and then D.D. Kosambi. The more important for us is Rahul Sanskrityayan, then D.D. Kosambi, then Ambedkar. If that is the one, that how it has to be linked, that I will come later. So the scientific method, attitude of comparison, that's why I would like to compare Western historical materialism and Indian historical materialism. And then imagination and intuition, how they play an important role to construct an alternative historiography in India. Historiography Yes, you have so many schools. The schools business is also one has to. I'm saying I'm using very loosely. I'm sorry for the schools that you have. You have a Cambridge School of Thought. You have a nationalist school of thought. I think if you read Aloysius, it would. Nationalist school of thought, Gandhian school of thought, and then you have subaltern school of thought, and then other schools of thought. That is what. But the same schools of thought were available in ancient India. I think Ambedkar takes that schools very seriously, what they are. So according to Ambedkar, historians should use imagination and intuition to bring to bridge the gaps. What are the gaps? Say for example, yesterday we were talking of Indus revolution, whether it was Aryan civilization or it is Dravidian civilization. It is an unresolved thing. So how to imagine it is a Dravidian civilization? So Ambedkar, it's a broken thing. So like paleontologist or archaeologist, I think Ambedkar did a lot. Like archaeologists, all the brokens have to be broken bones, and pieces have to be put together and see the Indian history. Because it is not why it is not continue. Ambedkar explains. That's very important for us. That's where he uses historical materialism, the dialectical materialism. People would say, oh, Ambedkar has no dialectical at all. I think what it is, dialectical materialism, then I will come to this one. So one should be able to connect and interconnect knowing the facts. How do? Just now he said, Dr. Gopinath, when Indus civilization was dug up in 1910 to 20, earlier we were different notions of history. But Ambedkar, 1916, when the excavations were going on, I think caste and mechanism, he said, caste is an enclosed class. It's a very, very profound formulation. Caste is an enclosed class. It is a formulation. That formulation, Indian historical materialist, the so-called what you call communist outlook order, I think put like this, communist outlook order has not taken that caste is an enclosed class. I think yesterday, that's why I am very fascinated. I think had he been in university, Sambasiva Rao sir, I think he's a really Indian Gramscian. The organic thing that he brings out, Varga Kula. I think I was not able to understand what he was saying, but his Telugu is a profoundly very important. Yesterday he was talking the Varga Kula Varna. I think Vargam Kulamu Varnam. I think Ambedkar, when he says caste is an enclosed class. Class formation in caste, he discovered 1916. Not, I think I don't know whether we are not appealing the Indian communist thinkers or party workers to identify Ambedkar. I am not appealing here. I am not here appealing to. But what I am trying to say is, this is what I am trying. The critic says that the historical Ambedkar historical method has some problem. But everything has a problem with Ambedkar. Why it is not? Ambedkar task was like archaeologist. Excellent. Constructs the city or the broken bones, all the city fragmented things, connecting and seeing who are these masses. So now if I jump one to just to connect my point, Lokayatas, Charvakas, they were Lokayatas. They were materialists. What was their materialism? Now I'll come. What was his materialism? He says that they thought water is not the water is an important component of earthly thing, not the heavenly thing. Of course, clouds gives water, but earth again goes and comes down. It is water. The same water, Ambedkar had a struggle on it. So what they said, what the Vedic period said, and what the Charvaka says, I'll come just now, 2-3 minutes I'll come into that. So let me say, Western materialism, that's why I said that the second part, maybe there is an overlap, but I wanted to take certain things and apply to Ambedkar, how Ambedkar understood because today we have the philosophy, we have history of philosophy, but we do not have the philosophy of history. That's very important. We have history of philosophy, but we don't have the philosophy of history. That's very important, because philosophy of history is a historical materialism. That's where because it's a human history. It's a human history. You have the history of philosophy. Okay, this philosopher says this is chronological. But understanding the historiography, philosophy of history, I think that's where Marx learned from Hegel. Marx learned from Hegel. I think if Marx learned from Hegel and Feuerbach, I think Ambedkar learned from Buddha. That's very important. Buddha is very important, because materialism is a dialectical thing, not in Marxism actually. The second international dialectical materialism, the materialism is a broad sense, contains this, the whatever exists is a just. Whatever that exists is a just. That is why mass people, the working class, they believe what exists is a just. I think that is because it depends upon the matter. It depends upon the matter. So there is a genuine relationship between the matter and the life. But in an ideological sense, now the philosophical materialism, what it's a distincts, philosophical materialism in a Western sense, distincts from historical materialism, that is a Plekhanov. And Plekhanov makes again comes to the second international, Plekhanov, what is his name, Korsch, and then another one, Bernstein, not Bernstein, there is a one, it comes. These three in a second international, they coined, basically, Plekhanov coined dialectical materialism, where the thesis, antithesis and synthesis will come. That is, dialectic goes on. I think that Ambedkar says in his Revolution and Counter-Revolution, what is the thesis and what is antithesis, and the synthesis, what it produced, how it goes. I think when I go back to the Ambedkar, I'll explain how he understood Indian history. So this is the philosophical materialism is different to that of historical materialism, and historical materialism is different to that of scientific materialism propounded by Lenin. That's very important. These are the common things for as a classist I am saying to the students. One can. The philosophical materialism that they had had 3-4, because I am taking directly from Marxian, Western Marxism, these things. There is no quotation, because if you read any Marxist book, then you would get plenty of half-dozen books you can take. I have read those things. Ontological materialism. So ontological materialism depends upon social upon biological. I think ontological thing, the social depends upon a biological, where the being of a biological being, that's very important. That also, if one time, let me explain. The another thing is epistemological materialism. It has some scientific thought. Epistemological, because it's a production of knowledge. Epistemological, the production of knowledge. The practical materialism that constitutes what I am trying to say, social movement. Practical materialism that asserts the role of human agency, masses. Because human masses, it is not someone who drives the human masses, it is the human masses who drives the history. That is a materialistic understanding. So when you say human transformation, there is an agency. That agency is the people, masses. So today, I think Charvakas were disputed. Who disputed, I'll come. But today, that is why this masses, there is a ban on masses. Today, Dalit word is banned. Why it is? Because someone is asking what has to be done. Today we are fragmented consolidation. This consolidation of masses in the form of Dalits, I think there is a problem. That is being banned now. So Lokaitas when they talk of the people's language, people's materialism, they were annihilated and they were chased out. Today, when at least historical materialism is trying to coming to an antithesis in the form of a Dalis, there is a ban. That I'll come to later, how it is, how it happens. This one can understand. Again, one more thing. The philosophical, scientific thing, what the scientific materialism, historical materialism, just like given, because this again, at least scientific materialism, what Lenin says, it includes the reality. Reality is not in a sense, social reality is very important. Social reality. Today, if someone says caste is not a social reality, because caste is a structure or superstructure, I think we are spending almost 1 century to say whether caste is a structure or superstructure. I think idiotic thing to say. I believe because caste operates at both the level. Why you are saying it's a superstructure? Caste is an economic thing. It's a materialistic thing. That's what I think we are saying. It is not ideal thing. No, that is why Ambedkar says in his 3rd volume, ideal has been reality has been idealized. Reality has been idealized. And one more profound formulation, he says, whatever settled in India is not properly settled. It has to be resettled. That's very important. Whatever that is been settled, it has not been properly settled. It has to be resettled. That is a synthesis actually. Thesis, antithesis, it is not properly settled, it has to be resettled. I think one more we have to go for one more thing, one more synthesis. Because that is dialectic is historical motion. It cannot be static. It's a motion. Synthesis produces another antithesis, another thesis produces antithesis. Then it goes on history. That's where I think Buddha believes. That is very important. Buddha believes that what Dr. Yesterday's people said and even Dr. Gopinath also said. So why then historical materialism by understanding? There are 2-3 things where I would like to take coming to the Ambedkar and Indian materialism, because of course Dr. Professor Brijranjan has dealt with some, but still I would like to take it. So the one is the philosophical materialism. That significance connection is that it is a material conception of history, but it is the material history when it denies the primacy of ideas, primacy of ideas, and ideas in social life. The materialist believes matter is primacy of social life. So the basic contradiction, that is one. The methodological commitment to the historiographical research by the materialists, I think very important. That's where Ambedkar can be located within the Indian historical materialism after Charvakas and Buddha. Charvakas, and then there were other people, some 6-7 people, Makkali Goshala, Asikezi Kambali, and other people that I'll mention later, and Buddhism, and then other philosophical thing that I think from Buddha to Ambedkar, and then of course in between we have 2 important materialist philosophers, if you consider them as a philosopher, Phule and Periyar. Of course, Periyar has been basically construed as a rationalist. Of course, even Charvakas are a materialist and rationalist. I think the tradition continues. There is a gap, but it is not total break. It's not total break, but continuity is there. That continuity is there from Buddha to Phule to Periyar to Ambedkar. That has to be understood. The conception of the centrality of human praxis, human agency has to be understood. How do you understand that? I think production, mode of production relations, social formation. I think production, relations of production, social formation. I think as a student I read in JNU some of the books, I don't say many books, I think all these books says that nowhere mention the caste relations of production. Of course, caste is an enclosed class. So they may explain the class. How do they explain? what is the lacunae in explanation of all the so-called schools of thought in India. I think that one has to be taken very carefully. I think that is why Phule Ambedkar Institute of Sharad Patil and then Dr. Gopinath, and then I think including Usa sir and then Professor Srinivasulu Aile sir, they started in the same university, Satya Sodak Samaj, which they try to do the same kind of work. I think these are the institutions which are not informal, but informal, not informal, informal, but they are informal, but they are doing tremendous work on par with the formal institutions. So this is one. When you say the production, reproduction of social life, I think they stress historical materialism. What Ambedkar did, I am again deriving. They stress on what is that? Labor. The involvement of the labor and its involvement in transforming the society. I think very important. Yes, labor in this country is not no dignity. That's what Ambedkar said. No dignity. Yes, I think the current example that I think you are well aware, and because every day you are seeing the paper, and just now Dr. Gopinath sir mentions, our Chief Minister's son says, yes, I washed utensils in America, not here. The dignity of labor, where it is, there, not here. So I was traveling. One American student was traveling. So what do you do in America? I said, I am doing MS. So do you have fellowship? No, I have little fellowship. And then how you are surviving? I asked him when he sat with me. Sir, I mock the malls during night time. I earn them. So what you are? I asked directly. He said, I am upper caste. I don't know what he is upper caste. Mopping the floors of malls, where in America. So the dignity of labor and non-dignity of labor here, I think context, that is why the dialectical materialism and historical materialism is a context. As he said rightly, Dr. Gopinath, country to country, context to context. Historical materialism, when you apply in India, here there is no dignity of labor. Ambedkar stresses this point. What he says, I think no one takes it properly. Not the division of labor, division of laborer. Division of laborer. The labor and laborer is distinguishable. One. So when you say that laborer, there is no dignity of labor here. When you say division of labor, there is a dignity of labor. I think you are following. When you say that division of labor, there is a dignity. When you say there is a division of laborer, there is no dignity of labor. So Ambedkar takes this historical materialism, applies to Indian constitution, taking the clue from Charvakas and Lokaitas. It's very important. So that is what this stress in the Western materialism. They stress on the production relations and modes of production. That is why you have a clear transformation from one mode of production to another mode of production. Why in Indian society there is no transformation from one society or one mode of production to another mode of production? This is very important. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So now let me go back to the Indian materialism. Then I'll come back to again Ambedkar's materialism from the Western and Indian point of view, combined, because comparison, he himself used an historical method, that's why I'm comparing. Indian materialism or Indian philosophical thought, people say it's a mysticism. Yes, we can research. It is a religious thought. Ambedkar says it has no philosophy. But he didn't, Indian philosophical thought, even Hegel also commented, Indian religious thought is a mysticism. While writing on history, Hegel himself says on that. And then Ambedkar says that it has no philosophy. Why it has no philosophy? The idealist philosophers in India, they concentrated on the spirit rather than the development of the socio-economic materialism. That's very important. Ambedkar tries to do that. Because that is where the history of class formation, class struggle, and then historical transformation. Class formation, class struggle, then transformation. This is what I think. This is when. So when Vedic, what is a Vedic? So Vedic, when you say, what I am trying to say is, Rig Veda. It says that it contains Vedas are embodiment of the truth. Embodiment of the truth that can neither be proved nor attained by men. This is what Vedas are. Vedas are embodiment of the truth. The truth is somewhere it is lying, that cannot be reached by men and cannot be proved. And if at all someone wants to reach the truth, you need a very rigorous training. What is the training? I think it is above human experience. That's what I think. It is a covered up. It is a covered up. How to attain the truth then? The truth is something which human experience cannot do that. How to do? If at all you want to do that, I think you have to have a rigorous training. How do that rigorous training comes? I think the masses were denied the training. So the truth was away from the masses. That's what. In a Vedic philosophy, the Vedas says that. See, yesterday also it has come, and today also someone raised. So Vedic literature has a one deva, one devudu. That is a Indra. So what was that says? Indra, you bring this to us, you do this one, and this one, that one you do. So if you don't have a rain, they call Indra, why don't you have a rain? If you don't have a grain, he call Indra. I think today also we have so many Indra Chandrulu, or Surya Chandrulu, Surya Vamshamu, Chandra Vamsham. మన చంద్రశేఖర్ సార్ ఇప్పుడు అడిగితే వాళ్ళు ఏమంటాడంటే, సో ఓకే మీకు భూమి కావాలి కదా, నేను ఇస్తానులే, యజ్ఞం పెడతాడనమాట. ఇంద్రుడు చంద్రుడు మనకు ఉన్నారు ఇప్పుడు రాజులు, ఈ రాజులు అంటే అప్పుడు ఇంద్రుడు ఏం చేసేవాడు, బ్రాహ్మణులకు ఏదైనా కావాలని అంటే తీసుకొచ్చేవాడు అనమాట. మొత్తం కొల్లగొట్టేసి తీసుకొచ్చాడు. అందులో పురంధ్ర అంటారు, ఇంద్రుని కూడా పురంధ్ర అంటారు. ఎస్టర్డే ఐలేసారు పురంధ్ర అంటే పురా. This has written in a Pisiot, in a prehistoric in India. He clearly mentioned Indra's another name is a Purandra, who destroys the Puras. Pura is, what are the Puras? Puramu ante fortified cities. It is there in a prehistoric book. It's a very important book written by Pisiot. It's very important. Here, Andras. So, destroyer of Puras, Purandra. So, the Indra has a very Indra, and then Vedic period has a Indra. But other Upanishad period and the later Vedic, end of the Vedic and Upanishad and the what you called Vedantic period, no Indra. What comes? All of a sudden Brahma comes. Indra disappears. Brahma comes. I think this is very important. So Brahma comes in, and then that's a different altogether. So Vedic schools, so when you say that the truth cannot be attained by men, and something is a suspicious there. So the truth cannot be an above human experience. It must be with the masses. Truth, their experience, their ontological experience, human experience, that is where Ambedkar says, I think that is much more, because it is a back and forth interconnected, like dialectical materialism, unity of opposites. Unity of opposites, both thesis and antithesis are combined, finally puts the synthesis. It cannot see this is one, antithesis another. No, there is a unity. It's a fight between. That's a struggle. That is a struggle. That unity, Ambedkar, revolution and counter-revolution, very neatly explain what is synthesis and what is antithesis, and then how synthesis has produced. So Vedic school constitute a single class. Their acceptance of authority of Vedas. When you accept the authority of Vedas, they call this what you called orthodox, astika, I think, astika, and then nastikas. Astikas, orthodox, and those who disbelieve and those who scathing attack on Vedas called Nastikas. Nastikas are Lokayatas and Charvakas. Makkali Goshala, I think you have many things. Asikesa Kambali, Sanjay Battali Putta, Pakuda, Kachipaya. I think it's not Birappa, Harappa, but there are so many, even yesterday sir was telling, sir, along with there are so many, Usa sir was telling. Pakuda, Kayasapa, Purna, Kasapa, Makkali Goshala, Kambala Keshara, there are many schools. All these 4 or 5 people, along with the Charvakas, they are materialists. So when I compare this materialistic thought, today's Cambridge historiography, nationalist historiography, Gandhian historiography, I think there is a linkage. There is a linkage. I could see that. How I could see the discarding of so when the Veda says orthodox, that's orthodox, and the heterodox. Orthodox school, that is a orthodox school, that is a Vedic, and then that Vedic school Rig Veda, and then I think next one is the 2 things I wanted to say here. I think while understanding the history, this is my understanding from Ambedkar's point of view, maybe problem. The Brahmanism and Buddhism. Brahmanism and Buddhism. Hinduism. It's very, I think we have to make a distinction. How to make a distinction? And because Brahmanism was defeated, according to Ambedkar by Buddhism. Buddhism, it was defeated. Then the reconsolidation of Brahmanism in the form of Hinduism is a much more dangerous. That's very important. I think that is why I think yesterday some of our, I think when he says that when I think in I just missed when Dr. Gopinath sir said the Sudras are in Hinduism, Ilaya sir said no, Sudras are not Hindus. I think yesterday some question also posed that we are also Hindus. The claiming of Hindus, we are also Rajas. We are also Rajas. We are also Hindus. So this claim and counter claim doesn't fit into the historical materialism. That we can explain that anyway. Because Buddhist thought and Charvakas that they didn't just claim like that. They thought that the matter is important. Matter is important, not the ideas. Because even Western historical materialism, even dialectical materialism, when they formulated, dialectical has come from Hegel. Materialism has come from scientific revolution, industrial revolution. These two are combined as a bourgeois philosophy made a dialectical materialism by Platono and other people. That is what. That is why when later period, when Gramsci, Althusser and other people, when they came to understand Marxism, they went ahead of actual orthodox Marxism, where including even Lenin and Mao tried to restrain the economic determinism of Marxism, because Marx and Lenin, they tried to overcome the economic determinism. That's why Mao introduced the cultural revolution. That's a very important point for us to understand. Because economic determinism of orthodox Marxism doesn't work. Even Ambedkar also says, and the taking of here, I think is very important. Anyway, classical Indian materialism, there are 2 things. One is Atma and Anatma. Atma is what you call soul. Soul, that is a soul, and Anatma is a body. So that is why I think Marx says Hegel is standing on his head. That's what Marx says. Ambedkar says, in the same language, Indian communists are standing on their head to understand the Indian historiography. That's what very important, because they are looking up. They are not properly understanding. Because Marx says, "Oh, Mr. Hegel, you are standing on your stand properly and look the history, human history, how you look it." I think Ambedkar says Indian Marxists are like that. I think standing on their head. I think they need it is. So the discarding idealism and mysticism, because here the body, separation of Atma, soul and body is important. Because Charvaka says that no separation. Western materialism says no separation. Charvakas and the materialist thought, including Ambedkar, says no separation. Because mind cannot exist without matter. how do you expect that the head soul would exist without body? It is not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. So the matter is important, I think, but both are the matter is independent of its own, but the mind depends upon the matter. That's where that's where the materialism comes, and then I think it's ordinary thing. Even in any ABC historical materialism of progressive publication would say. But I am trying to understand how Ambedkar tried to understand what it is. Say for example, so what are the 4 elements, materials that the Vedic period wanted to sanctify? Why those materials are sanctified? Because that materialism sanctified, that is why production relations, one point, because I may not be connecting each other, but just I'm throwing some kind of doubts, my own doubts. Say for example, the cobbler makes the shoe, chappal. He teaches how to make the chappal to his son. His son teaches how to make it to his own son, grandson. So, weaver teaches his son how to weave the cloth. So, goes on. The hereditary comes on. Why it has to be like that only. Because the moment cobbler knows the theory of how to make the chappal, then it's a problem for Brahmanism. Theory is somewhere, I think, because they were connected to the labor. The knowledge, I think what Brahmanism said is that knowledge has been taken out. Because I know how to make shoes. I know how to make pot. I know how to make cloth. I know how to make what the other artisan classes I know. But the theory is not there with me. That is why I am passing my things to today. If you ask any cobbler, where is the theory? Theory is the Bata, not with the cobbler. Bata or Woodland or Nike shoes. They have the theory. When you have a theory, universal. It's universal. Or you can have a factory of shoes factory. You can have a shoes factory. That is why denial of knowledge of theory making epistemological break has come. That's why, because I am well equipped with artisan. I know the shoes, how to I make the beautiful shoes I can make, the beautiful cloth I can view, the beautiful thing I can do, because I have the knowledge, that knowledge. But if I have that knowledge of knitting and doing everything, theorizing, that I think that has been destroyed by the Brahmanism. That's where the Brahmanism versus masses is a very important. The epistemological materialism, there the production of knowledge was denied to the artisan classes. The Sudra Ati Sudra, both are artisan classes. They constitute bulk of the Indian society. That I think the Ambedkar says these are the masses who can overthrow this is antithesis. This is they overthrow the other thing. So then another thing so other elements that I am trying to say, what are the material elements? Water, earth, fire, air. 4. Only these are worldly things. No, water, fire, earth, air. These are all earthly things. I think doctors are here, and then physiocrats are here, physics are here. It's a material thing. It is a material. Brain is also composed of material chemical matter. It is not something which God gave me the brain. No, it's not that. It's a composition of matter. I think that is why artisan classes know that. But knowing that and then passing generations to generations, but they could not. But in Western society, that is where I think transition from one mode of production to another mode of production, dignity of labor was acquired. If I am hungry, I can make the shoe. If I am hungry, I can do the rickshaw. I can pull the rickshaw. If I am hungry, I can go for pottery making. I need not to depend on something. If I am engineer, I can do something. So that is why It's very important. You see, when Ambedkar asked for material, this is the Charvaka says, "Arey, water is ours, air is ours, fire is ours, earth is ours. These are all our human life is with them. We die and come back from that. And this is how." No. You should not touch them. You should not touch them. These are godly things. You cannot do that. Then they said they rejected. That's why Astikas. See, when Ambedkar asked in 1932 reservations, how this continuity comes in. When Ambedkar asked for reservations, the material benefits. Material benefits. Charvakas asked that, no, we want food. We want to borrow. We want food. We wanted to have enjoy life. Enjoy life is struggling by doing labor, not just for ideal. We want it. But they said, Vedic philosophers, these are the people, what you called Deha philosophers, or bodily philosophers, or what you called hedonists. They are only pleasure. They have a pleasure. They are hedonist. They are happy people, and that's how they characterize like anything. Like all the negative characters have been attributed to the Lokayatas and other things. But Lokayatas, of course, they rejected that. See, when Ambedkar asked for the material benefits of reservation, I think Gandhi said no. You see, Gandhi said no. There they asked material benefits, and there is a destruction on them. But when Ambedkar asked the same thing, when the Mahat Satyagraha also, people thought water is a godly thing. Ambedkar, don't touch it. The people, they thought that even in a movie also, they thought that Ambedkar may become some goat and some cat or something. If they were trying to take back his hand. Stupid fellows, I touched the water, no problem. It's a material thing. Ambedkar touched it. The material. I think this is very important, because the magic or sacrifice prayers cannot construct the material. This is very important. I think I have some more time, sir. Yeah, sir.
We have exactly 15 minutes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Then I'll take some time and then. So the Vedic peoples, when you are asking Indra, we want prosperity, we want ghee, we want land, and chief ministers can distribute thousands of acres of land, like because we are from Madi Indra Vamshamu, Chandra Vamshamu, Indruni Vamshamu, Chandra Vamshamu, Indra, they claim, Rajas, they claim. So they can give thousands of acres of land, everything. When they asked material benefits, they are Bhudevatas, one cannot ask. When the Lokayatas, Ambedkar asked for material benefits, you are a pleasurist, you want to enjoy. I think Rohit also asked for scholarship. These people are enjoying the scholarship, not for study. So these people should not be given for scholarship. You see how they understand how this comes very important, that the idealism has been concealed into that, ideologically this takes it. I think this is very important. That is why Gandhi says, no, it is immoral. Reservations are immoral, earthly things. Why you should go for material benefits? You should have a morality. So you should fight for the entire nation's liberation, not for this thing. So Ambedkar says, no, let me have my own people. These are the things for we need Mahatma. It's not. But I think the same thing was asked by how Ambedkar connected in a historical materialism to that. I think that is a historiography one has to, through what Charles says, social imagination is important. Social imaginaries. Ambedkar, I'm not connecting to Charles Taylor's, multi-pluralism, multiculturalism or other things of Ambedkar, but I'm saying, see, this is very important, one can say. The Charvakas, as I said, gave a, very crushing blow to the Brahmanism. That's very important. That is why I think when the Indian materialist, the whatever the intellectuals they say, there is no, it is the colonialism that I think I can say so many things on colonialism, but I am restricting that. I don't want, but because everything starts with the colonialism, I think that is not correct. Everything starts with the colonialism. I think it is then colonialism itself is a product of capitalism. or a feudalism or capitalism, then how do you understand Indian feudalism? How do you understand when the other modes of production have an industrial revolution, why industrial revolution was not there? Even if you have an industrial revolution, mechanization was opposed by Gandhi. And Gandhi becomes a Marxist. It's very interesting. The man who opposes the mechanization, mechanism or technology, scientific temper, who says no, whereas Ambedkar welcomes the scientific temper and scientific transformation. Ambedkar has been considered as the bourgeois, whereas Gandhi becomes a Marxist, and they're trying to dig up so much thing from Gandhi, Marxism from Gandhi. I think that's very important. I think one can, okay, no need to take it up. But we have other historiography, we have a clear cut, there is a lane laid down. I think this is the one. So because this ideology Brahmanism was, revolution and counter-revolution that Ambedkar takes very important. In the third volume, he says that in third volume, he tries to understand Brahmanism, what it is. Brahmanism, I am quoting Ambedkar, because when Vedic and I'm also skipping the Shankaracharya, because who is instrumental in consolidating the Vedic Vedas, which are end of the Upanishads, are end of the Vedas, are the cream of Vedas. That's what Upanishad. So Shankaracharya, and he consolidates everything, and that consolidates in is a very important consolidation that happened. And there are so many other sects have emerged, mostly from the masses. Those sects were, yesterday someone talking about Narayana Guru, and we too have, we too have a very good philosopher who also comes from Sudra, Vemana. We too have that Vemana philosophy. That's very important for us to take it up. He's also materialist, and then Vemana, other people we can take it. Anyway, what Ambedkar says about Brahmanism, and then last point I would like to say, how the masses, the role of masses have to be, how it has to be understood. Today, the masses, masses means, before going to Ambedkar, how he constituted Brahmanism, the masses, Dalits, Adivasis, and backward classes. Blanket term that we are using, Dalit Bahujans. Dalit Bahujan, blanket term that we use. These are the masses, and these masses, whether they are in Dandakaranya, whether they are in what we call urban Naxals, one has to debate it. We'll go into that later. Later, if time permits, we can debate. This masses, because today, the moment if you say Dalit, you are anti-national, no? The moment if you say urban Naxal, sometimes you are anti-national, or at the most you are a terrorist, because the nomenclature changes. Charvakas to Ambedkar to today, the nomenclature is staying. These are mass people. The history, whenever there is an upsurge, that is what. So the Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, Madhava, Vallabha, these are the people who really advanced different. I think that is where one has to take, because that is the one thought that Ambedkar put a line to that, and then later he takes the Manu, laws of Manu, and then Gita. Ambedkar takes laws of Manu, Gita, and then Brahmanism very seriously, because his commentary on Gita is a very important one has to take. I think there's an article written by Aishwari Kumar, who I think our students are, we also teach in that class, and the Journal of History of Cambridge Ideas. In this, Aishwari Kumar mentioned they're taking of course, Walter Benjamin attacked the violence in Christianity. Ambedkar also attacks the violence in Hinduism through Gita. It's very important. The entire issue, Cambridge Journal of History of Ideas, the entire volume is on Gita. Ambedkar and then Walter Benjamin combined together, and then how the violence that is there in Hinduism and through the Gita form is very important. Laws of Manu, Gita, and then of course Kautilya, other things. Because he says that three things, four under, this is what he says, one thing, Brahmanism, I'm quoting Ambedkar, the negation of the three things. These are the three materialistic principles, not the idealistic. Liberty, equality, and fraternity. The Brahmanism, Ambedkar says, Ambedkar's mean the negation of the liberty, equality, and fraternity. the what you called Dhamma, Sangha and Dhamma, Buddha, Sangha, I think. Sangha philosophy thing. Fraternity is a Sangha philosophy. The creation of a caste system was the main end, I think, the aim of the Brahmanism. Brahmanism enacted the prohibition of the intermarriage and interdining. This is volume 3. And in the literature, the literature that upholds the Brahmanism according to Ambedkar is, which gives up the, what you called the triumph. Ambedkar in 3rd volume, one more says, Indian history, political history at least starts with the defeat of Ashoka's grandson by Pushpamitra Sunga. Indian history starts that. But our Indian history generally what is? Rajatarangini. Of course you have a Rigveda, you have a Upanishad and other sutras, and you have a Kautilya's Arthashastra and laws of Manu. But Rajatarangini is also very important. That comes from the true land of the, what you call cow belt, that is a Kashmir, Kalahana. He has written Rajatarangini. That is very important. How the yesterday he was telling how the Raja is a political power actually. Political power, Ambedkar political power is a master key to emancipate the society, not to be key of the Brahmanism. It is not. He reverses it. But in a Kalhana's Rajatarangini, Raja, what Usa says yesterday, Raja is also the key of the Brahmin priest. So Brahmin priest has a key. He can open and lock and unlock the Raja, the political power. But Ambedkar's political power is not like that. That's a materialistic. That is a different. The literature that he, 6 characters, Manusmriti, Gita, Shankaracharya's Vedant, and Mahabharata, Ramayana and Puranas. These are the things that he mentioned. These are the, I think, consolidation of Hinduism in the form of consolidation of Brahmanism in the form of Hinduism. That is very important because the Avatara Kalpana that Mahatma Phule exposed is this is Avatara Kalpana, the making of avatars. That is what I think the dialectical materialism attacks the Darwin's evolution theory. Here also, Indian historical materialism attacks the Avatara Kalpana of Indian evolution. Darwinism, including Gandhi also. There is a parallel to that. Because dialectical materialism opposes a Darwinism. Because the evolution because thesis, synthesis and thesis, antithesis, synthesis. That is the thing. But the Indian thing also, it's very important to understand here, no, it is not like that. You cannot go for it. It is a Avatara Kalpana, has to be taken care of. So Ambedkar is also one Kalpana. That is why I think we are claiming we are also Hindus. I think there is some problem in that. Maybe some people may agree, some people may. What are the misdeeds and deeds of Ambedkar, the Brahmanism that he says? 1 or 2 points that I would like to say. So I'll conclude this or?
Last 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. I think the creed of the Brahmanism is, according to Ambedkar, belief in Chaturvarna, sanctity and infallibility of Vedas, and the sacrifice to gods, and that is the only for salvation. These are the creed and the cream of, I think, the essence of the Brahmanism. And what are the misdeeds? I think here I would like to come back to the masses. That's where Ambedkar stresses on the masses, whom he talks about his entire writings. You see, who are the untouchables? Who are the Sudras? How they become? These are the masses who are the historical forces, social forces who can transform the society. I think Ambedkar's works were concentrated on these masses. That's very important. One can grasp from them. So the establishment of Brahmin rule to commit, I think, taking even regicide. The kings were killed by the Brahmins. The make the Brahmanism as a class privileged person. This is the misdeeds of Brahmanism according to Ambedkar. The converted the Varna into caste. And lastly, another thing, the brought about the conflict and anti-social feeling between different classes. This is very important. What he says is the hierarchy what he called the graded inequality. Mahatma Phule calls it miniature hierarchy. Mahatma Phule, of course, Mahatma Phule was not having the sophistication what Ambedkar had, but he has profound ideas. Mahatma Phule says the miniature hierarchy. Miniature hierarchy is very important. Ambedkar takes that miniature hierarchy of Mahatma Phule and puts it graded inequality. Graded inequality, it is a part of the Indian historical materialism. It must constitute a part of Indian historical materialism as a part of dialectical materialism. But unfortunately, it is not constituting. Mahatma Phule's graded, what is a miniature hierarchy? Brahmins have 10 hierarchies again, you see. Brahmins are not homogeneous. Brahmins are not, Kshatriyas are not homogeneous. One Kshatriya do not marry other Kshatriya. One Brahmin may not marry other Brahmin. Even the same thing has come. One Mala may not marry another Mala. One Madiga may not marry another Madiga. So there is a miniature hierarchy, one upon one. I think that's where the idealism imposed graded inequality. What Ambedkar talks in another profound formulation that the division of laborers, not the labor, caste is an enclosed class, and then here graded inequality. This is the forged system. It's a forged system, but the caste, according to Indian sociologists, caste is a rigid. This is no, but it is not rigid. It changes. It changes its form. The oppression is there. Oppression is there. The form changes. See, university oppression may be different to that of the IAS officers' oppression. IAS officers' oppression may be different to that of a school teacher's oppression. School teachers' oppression may be, Dalit school teacher oppression may be different to that Dalit workers in the field. So there is a change of a formation, but what we like to do is graded inequality is there. I think that's very important. And not only that, this the legalizing the rigid social system, I think that is the idealization of real. Idealization of real is very important here. So this is what in the third volume all this takes. So the graded inequality between different masses, different. So Sudra, Ati Sudra, within the Sudras there is division. So they keep on dividing the society. So Ambedkar, whether some people ask Ambedkar used the Dalit term or not. Yesterday we were attending a seminar in Osmania University in another room. Ambedkar did not use the Dalit word. Yes, Ambedkar used Dalit word. Dalit is a Sanskrit word. Dalida is a Pali word. Dalida. Because Uma Chakravarti in her writings, she says that Buddhist text, Pali text used Dalida. Dalida, poverty-stricken people, excluded people, Dalida. Dalida in Pali, Dalit in Sanskrit. So when you say take this one, I think here the inequality between the different classes, masses, to forge a social movement, masses cannot come together. That is why today the major threat, the synthesis coming out, I think antithesis, and not a synthesis, antithesis, Dalit is coming in the form of putting all together all the excluded class. That is why I think this consolidation of masses in the form of a Dalit is a threat. That's why it has been banned. It has been banned. You see how it is. This is one case. I think the another, as I said, the complete ban of education for Sudras and untouchable. This is about the epistemological, the production of knowledge was banned. That is why you do not have the theorizing capacity. Though you have a capacity, it's not that it is a something, what you say, Brahmapadam. Sar says many times he uses the Brahmapadam. Knowledge is not a Brahmapadam. It is an experience that comes the knowledge. So I think why they are not able to do this one, very important, because when the cobbler, weaver, when they try to theorize this one, and then I think Brahminical history crumbles and shakes and fell down. That's very important, because it's a cow dung. It's a cow dung. It is Ambedkar himself says it's a cow dung. It collapsed. That's what. So it is acquiring property for Sudras and Ati Sudras are prohibited by the Brahmanism. These are some of the techniques of suppression which are idealized, and in which the Indian intellectuals, mainstream historians did not take them seriously, and then went on saying Asiatic mode of production, relations of production relations, material mode of production. What mode of production that you are talking about? What kind of a political economy that you are talking about it? What kind of political economy that caste has ever determined that? Have you ever determined what kind of political economy caste has? First of all, you said caste is a superstructure. Gone. So gone. It's gone. Now it is, you kept in some cold storage. So you cannot, from centuries it has been kept in storage. I think now it is, coming up, because why it is coming up, I think for the last 20, 30 years is very important for us. 1991. I think the masses, consolidations of masses started with the 1991. I think this is very important. Of course, you have a Dalit Panther movement, as I said, and then Sarath Patil experiment, and then now I think SARS experiment. 1991 is a very crucial Ambedkar centenary celebrations, where the enormous literature, the dissemination of Ambedkar literature that came to the university students and so the emerging organic intellectuals, most of them, I think we could see the very wide range of scholars. I think the new school of thought, I think that made a difference. I think now we are trying to rekindle that broken thing, taking Ambedkar method and then trying to fix it, and where we can have the real mass movement where Adivasis, of course, Adivasis, Dalits, and all these things, and that has I think morning just now he said no. Why the Dandakaranya is it's like that because Adivasis and Dalits, they are consolidating, and the resources are lying there, and the resources, because we need resources. I think in Telugu one saying is there. I'll tell and stop it, sir. While reading Kambampati Satyanarayana's history, Andhra's history, he mentioned one. There's Ashta Kastalu, Ashta Bogalu. There's two things are there. Ashta Kastalu, Ashta Bogas. What are the Ashta Bogas? Ashta Bogas are, this is the one. Ashta Bogas, on the earth, under earth, beneath earth, whatever the resources are, that belongs to the Brahmin. Ashta Bogalu. Because the resources are them only. Whether it is all the material resources that are there on earth, under earth, everything, that's they want. Ashta Kastalu for whom? I think masses. I think Ashta Kastalu will take the dialectical materialism, and certainly there is going to be a antithesis, and they will wage a war. I think that is a more important. That's what I understand as a student of Dalit movement in this country. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.